Right, let's have a chat. Have you ever stopped just for a second with a spoon of sugar halfway to your cuppa? Where does this stuff actually come from? It's just there, isn't it? In our cupboards, in our cakes, in almost everything we buy from the supermarket. It's this brilliant, white, sparkly stuff. But it doesn't grow on a tree like an apple or a plum. How does it get from a plant in a field all the way into that paper bag in your kitchen? I'm telling you, the journey is absolutely bonkers. Sugar, in its simplest form, is just a sweet-tasting carbohydrate that our bodies use for energy. But the sugar we know and love primarily comes from two very different-looking plants. First, you've got your sugarcane. Picture massive, tall, bamboo-like stalks growing in hot, sunny, tropical places. It's a type of grass, believe it or not. Then you've got its cousin from colder climates, the sugar beet. This one is a root vegetable, a bit like a pale, lumpy, overgrown turnip that grows underground. Isn't it mad that these two completely different plants give us the exact same sweet magic? So, whether it's a towering green stalk swaying in the sunshine, okay, so let's get our wellies on and head out to the fields. The first step is harvesting. Sugarcane can grow incredibly tall. Farmers used to burn fields to strip outer leaves and reach the juicy stalks. Now mechanical harvesters are common, chopping cane into smaller pieces. Sugar beets are different. Giant machines pull the roots out of the ground. They top off the green leaves. They load beets onto trucks. It's a massive, muddy industrial operation. Once harvested, the clock starts ticking. They must be moved to the mill quickly. The sugar starts breaking down as soon as it's cut. You lose sweetness each hour, so you'll see constant streams of massive trucks, sometimes trains, loaded high and rushing to the factory. It's a race to lock in peak flavor. At the mill, the first job is a big wash. Beets are covered in soil, cane has leaves and bits. Machines tumble the crops. They blast them with high-pressure water until squeaky clean. You wouldn't want dirt in your birthday cake, right? Cleaning is crucial. Impurities affect taste and quality. After their bath comes the squeeze. Cane stalks are shredded, then crushed between massive rollers to extract juice. Beets are sliced into thin, crinkle-like strips. Those strips are soaked in huge tanks of hot water to diffuse the sugar out. The result? A dark, sweet liquid full of raw, unrefined sugar. Right, so now we have this dark, murky-looking liquid. It's sweet, yes, but it's not the lovely white stuff we're after just yet. It's full of impurities, bits of soil, plant fibers, minerals. The next job is to clean it up, and this is where some clever kitchen chemistry comes in. The raw juice is mixed with a bit of lime, which makes impurities clump together. These clumps then sink to the bottom of the tank or are skimmed off the top, leaving behind a much clearer, lighter-colored juice. This clearer juice is then sent to the evaporators, like a sauce reduction on an epic scale. The juice is gently heated in massive vats. As it heats up, the water in the juice turns to steam and evaporates away. That leaves a thick golden brown syrup, getting closer to sugar. Can you guess the next step? Now for crystallization. The thick syrup is put into a massive vacuum pan and boiled one last time. The vacuum lets water boil off at a lower temperature so the sugar doesn't burn into caramel. As the last bit of water disappears, tiny sugar crystals start to form. Seed crystals are added to encourage growth. The crystals latch onto seeds and grow bigger. You end up with massaquite, a thick, gloopy mix. Say it with me, massaquite. It's sugar crystals plus the remaining syrup, molasses. Dark, sticky, full of flavor. Now we separate them by spinning, like a giant salad spinner for sugar. Imagine a giant washing machine drum that spins incredibly fast. The massaquita is poured into this machine, which then spins at an unbelievable speed. The force of the spinning flings the heavier molasses syrup to the outside, leaving the lighter sugar crystals behind. What you're left with is a pile of damp, golden brown crystals. This is your raw sugar. To get that, the raw sugar needs one more step, refining. The result? Pure, white, granulated sugar ready to be packed into bags and sent off to the shops. From a muddy root or a tough, grassy stalk, all the way to these perfect little crystals.